This is Jake Ciely, and I'm the blown ACL that ruins your football season.
Good news, everyone! Let's get dangerous. This is so good!
I know!
It feels so right!
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Nice try, Moonman, pretending not to know our greatest mastermind!
You just made the list!
I thought you said that was a myth.
Just because it's a myth doesn't mean it's not true.
If you all blindly follow my plan, we may have a chance.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
Game on, you ducks. It's championship week. We are here. We made it. Bittersweet because the season's almost over. But we have a good show today. I'm not going to spend too much time myself because I'm going to jump right into it with a great guest, a very close friend of mine. And we spent a lot of time covering a lot of things for you guys, including over at The Athletic as a reminder, a lot of breakdowns of the injuries, what if starts, sits, that kind of situation. Of course, you can drop your questions in there. We'll have a chat on Sunday morning like usual, but no Thursday. If you missed it on Monday, I did a special little chat. So make sure you're jumping into the comments over in the ranks, and I'll get you guys covered over there because now's not the time to overthink, but I'm sure everybody is overthinking because it's inevitable. It's tough not to do because, of course, you should have started Phillip Rivers and Alec Pierce and benched Josh Allen and CeeDee Lamb, and now you would be in your championships. So the third part of the Gelato guys, or Gelato Bros, or Gelabros, Gelabros, the part of the Gelabros is the great Chris Welsh, who hopefully you're following. I mean, if you've listened to this podcast and heard him before, but maybe you're just joining this year, at Is It the Welsh? He knows football, which we're talking about today, but he also knows baseball. He knows so much baseball that he knows this by now, is that because you guys know I just do projections and then I'm like, season started, I'm out of here. When people ask me on Twitter, I'm like, I don't know, but this is the guy you should be asking the question, especially if you have prospects. So, Welsh, tell everybody beside your handle all the stuff, because you do football. Do football.
Yeah, like I'm one of the I like the I'm torn if it's Gelabros, but I feel like that doesn't tell you the story. I think it's Gelato Bros. Gelato Bros is that would be like the restaurant. But yes, the famous story of us with that. I'm one of those few, and it feels like there's like maybe less that are doing this even more, but there are some of us out there that are like, I am a full-time football and baseball person. So it's like I work at Fantasy Pros now, and I've been doing full-time football, but then my baseball is kind of entrenched in it, and I kind of get locked into that. But I'm always doing a lot. Is It the Welsh is the Twitter handle. Follow me on Fantasy Pros for baseball and football, but I also have in this league, I do Prospect One. I live in Arizona. I'm out at the Arizona Fall League. Like, it's a lot of stuff. And hopefully people do know me. You know what's so funny? I was thinking about this literally a week ago before you had texted me, was one of my favorite, because I don't do a lot of like insane social media stuff or troll or anything like that, but one of my favorite things of all time, this was like 5 years ago or so, you had like a start and sit tweet. Do you remember this? And I tweeted under you, completely trolling about Lamar Jackson. This was the time where people were talking about Lamar as a running back. And people were killing me because I acted like an idiot, but people weren't paying attention, and people were like, this moron. And then people started clicking on my profile and being like, you almost got me. I didn't realize it was a Welsh. It's an old one. It's one of my favorites of all time because I was like completely not going to allow myself to get butthurt by what people were going to say to me. And I was just having the most fun acting like the dumbest person on the planet, asking you ridiculous questions, and people just killing me in your thread because you are the king of like thread comments. Your incredible stuff you do on The Athletic. You post one of your rank articles. If people don't remember too, you and I was the host of your show on The Athletic for 2 years. And your rank article, I would pull up every week to like do the show sheet. The comments are the best thing that's on the planet. You just get comment after comment because of all the fun stuff you do. You're the comment king, and I had a really fun time trolling you many years ago.
That was a good time. That was actually when I had the time, and I don't be like, like I don't even have 100,000 followers, but just the time to be able to answer everybody. Because you know how I started. I started it with, I like saw it as you walked up to me on the street to ask me a question. And I'm not gonna be like, screw you, I'm gonna keep walking. Like I felt like, hey, they took their time to answer everybody. And just legitimately don't have enough hours to survive anymore. This is why part of the hours is that I don't do baseball in season like I used to. But this is why you're around. This is why people should be following you. And
I appreciate
so
it.
much so that he was at the Arizona Fall League. That's how much investment he has in this, is that when you're 5 years from now being like, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? Welsh is like, well, when I was there 5 years ago watching it, Emery Hunt of baseball. There you go. There's a huge compliment for you. You're
That
the
is
Emery
a very
Hunt
good
of baseball.
compliment. Yeah, I like that compliment. I'll definitely take that. I love Emery. Yeah, I mean, you know what my time in October was like? It would be like I wake up, I work on a show sheet, I would do 3 football shows, and then I would scoot out of my house, and the rest of the day would be dedicated to baseball. And I would do the Arizona Fall League. Then I'd come home, I'd work on a sheet. Next morning, another 1 or 2 football shows, out to baseball. Like, that was 6 weeks of my life not too long ago, because it is a dedication. I do love it, and I love this stuff. That's why I'm a yes guy. You tell me, hey, Welsh, you come on, I'm here for you, baby. Whatever you want to talk about.
That is true. Always here. And we are going to talk about players that are here and not here. How's that for a transition?
I like it.
We're going to fantasy football as always. Have some fun. Do things. We always do it. It's the last. He gets to be the last guest of the fantasy football season. The podcast is going to keep going as Barkley. Look, see, Barkley's
Approval.
upset it's the last pod. Yes, she's upset that it's the last podcast. No, I'm going to still be here for week 18, but just by myself because nobody wants to come on and talk that crap with me. But I'm going to do it, and then all the off-season content as well. But here's the big one. This is normally, Welsh, what I do is like the big 5 questions with the fun looped in. But there's, as you saw, there's only 3 because the first one, and especially the third one, have so many names that come into play that I feel like it's going to take us a little more to get through. Because the first one is, let's talk Rhamondre Stevenson if there's no Travion Henderson concussion. He wasn't out there today, depending on when you're listening to this. We're recording Tuesday. Dylan Sampson and Raheim Sanders replacing the situation with Quentin Judkins, and we don't even know if Sampson's going to play because he's been out with the hand injury. Yeah. Emanuel Wilson, if there's no Josh Jacobs, which might be the clearest we want that to happen, even though we kind of, you do and you don't, because at least you know. And then Jawar Jordan, if there's no Woody Marks. So as quickly as we can go through these, I want to throw out the first one in a different way. We'll take Rhamondre Stevenson, Emanuel Wilson, head-to-head. If both the leads are out, which way would you go, assuming, of course, Jordan Love is actually even playing for the Packers, because that throws... You see why? This is like, there's so many... We need the Charlie Day board behind us, like with the lines and everything like that. But I gave you the toss-up straight. Like, I'm leaning Stevenson because he's facing the Jets, and it's purely matchup only. If it wasn't for the matchups and it's reverse, I would actually go Emmanuel Wilson, but I'm curious if you agree.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm actually just coming off. I also, one of the things I do on Fantasy Pros, this is good why we're doing this. You know this because you do some stuff with us sometimes, yes. I do the rank show, the big rank show. It's a beast of a show, and I do it with Pat Fitzmaurice and Andrew Erickson every single week, and we take like 2 hours out and we record it. And we had to do it early. I literally did
Why
this.
Why did they throw you on that one and not the one with me and Fitz?
You know what's really
have
funny?
That connection.
You know what's funny about that? I had screamed about when you were going to start doing some stuff with us. I was like, Jake has got to do the rank show with me and Fitz because like this is what me and Jake did this for 2 years on The Athletic with the great Brandon Funston. Like, we did that show, and then they decided differently. I was like, oh, I mean, Erickson's my boy. I do all these shows with him, but I thought you, me, and Fitz were like the perfect match for that. And all I'm getting at is like, it's a beast of an episode, and it's a beast of stuff to do because we're breaking down 3 different episodes in one shot for ranking. So I'm coming off of that, and Rhamondre was a big discussion point we just had. And Erickson is in the space where he, and I'm in this as well. Rhamondre Stevenson is right on the cusp, I think, of RB1 this week without Travion Henderson. I don't think Travion is going to end up playing. Yep. The New York Jets is a phenomenal matchup. You can't get any better. We also know that he's going to take that uptick in the receiving upside. Really funny in the like betting world. Vegas was kind of hedging themselves last week. They put both Rhamondre and Travion at 2.5 receptions at plus money. Because A, we know they're going to get the ball at the backfield, but B, they just had no idea who was going to take the brunt of it. And obviously Travion got hurt, and that kind of screwed that up. But Rhamondre is now going to be put in a spot where he gets to get back to being big volume. He didn't have huge volume in this game before Travion got hurt, but we had 8 carries. He averaged over 6 yards per rush. He got multiple targets out of the backfield. I love this matchup. And I think he's going to push somewhere between 17 and 20 touches. And against the Jets, I think that is close to RB1 territory. I guess if you broke it down, like if Jordan Love played and there was no Josh Jacobs, I might feel like a little bit better about Emanuel Wilson. but it's actually just not going to change for me. I'm still going to go Rhamondre regardless of that. I think they're going to use a little bit of Chris Brooks. I don't think Jordan Love is necessarily a lock for this, and Malik is going to run. So all this to say, I'm very pro Rhamondre. And you know what? Let me ask you this. I brought this up to the guys, and I couldn't convince anybody. Would you rather Rhamondre with 20 touches and no Travion versus the Jets, or Kyren with his 12 to 13 touches in the game? And because he is ranked 12, and Kyren is going up against the Atlanta Falcons.
So you give me the 12 versus the 20, and I will take Kyren's talent every day of the week, but I would take, if you told me he only gets 12 and Stevenson definitively gets 20, I'm taking the 20 from Stevenson.
Okay, and then if it's like 14 for Kyren and 18 for Rhamondre, is that where you would push to Kyren?
Yeah, like the 3-4 touch difference, yeah, because I've been team, why do you hate Kyren Williams this year for everybody? Like, everybody's like, oh, the Blake Corum, but we didn't have this complaint for Gibbs and David Montgomery last year, and Blake Corum is essentially David Montgomery. Like, yes, it happens, and the rare occasion Kyren Williams doesn't end up being a top 20 running back, I think it's happened count on one hand that it's happened. It's the same thing with Gibbs last year. No, he doesn't have the passing game upside. No, he doesn't have Gibbs per game numbers to that level, but it's a very good comp in my mind in the fact that you can start Corum, but you can also start Corum and not be afraid of Kyren Williams. You just understand this is who he is.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, Corum has been like flex startable. But the reason I also asked that question is that in my mind, I think you start to talk about like you look at guys in like tiers and buckets of players. You know, we all do that. We're like, oh, look, the top bucket, it's McCaffrey, Gibbs, Robinson, Cook. That's bucket number one.
I started doing tiers this year for that. What you're about to say is like they're in the same bucket.
Yeah, exactly. But then like to that point, sometimes I think there's this like arbitrary one when you look at RB12 versus RB13. RB12 is an RB1 in a 12-team league. The 13th running back is like the number one RB2. But the question I'm asking, or at least stating when I say Rhamondre versus Kyren Williams, is I think Rhamondre is as close to that bucket of an RB1 territory as anybody. Javante's kind of banged up. He's in that spot. But I mean, Bucky's losing a lot of like red zone touches. He's losing them all to Sean Tucker right now. Like, I think you can consider Rhamondre without Travion into that bucket of players. Maybe you don't start him over Kyren Williams, but I think Rhamondre's a must start. That's kind of the big thing. So I'm with you on all of that. Emanuel Wilson's not a horrible player or anything like that, but I think he's in a different tier. I think he's in a tier below where Rhamondre's at.
Okay, so like now that we hit all of that, the other part of it in there, like I told you this was going to take a while. Jawar Jordan with no Woody Marks versus Dylan Sampson if he's back versus Raheim Sanders if Dylan Sampson isn't back. How do you feel about those two? Like, which would be the one that you would turn to if you're needy?
Okay. I want to tell you, if I got completely clean bill, I think it might be Dylan Sampson. Maybe. If Sampson is out and it's Sanders, it's back to Jordan, assuming Marks is out. Like, Jordan might be the safe one. The biggest I got screwed this past week, but I made it through. I had Woody Marks, and then boom, we get hit. I had to take him out and put Daria Gumbawale in. And I'm like, oh, maybe this will save me. But nope, because Nick Chubb was active as well. So you had all these guys in there. But Jawar Jordan, he dominated the snaps. And he put up some good yardage. And they're throwing him the ball. So, the more I'm thinking about it and I'm just talking about it out loud, like, there's something about Sampson that I do really like. But without Woody Marks, Jawar Jordan has just stepped into that role. So I think it just might be him. So I guess I would tier it. It's like Jordan without Marks, Sampson if active, and then Sanders to me is the third option, even if there is no Dylan Sampson out there. He's a big power back. I don't know how much they're going to run the ball, and like the big argument for Sanders would be like he's the goal line guy. But like, how often are the Browns against the Steelers going to be put in a spot where they're going to be in like short yardage? Because even if Sampson's active, right, I think Sampson's a guy that's going to get more touches. If they do get inside the top 5, then I think Sanders is a lot more of an active player there. But he's at the bottom of the list. But you know what? People might have to turn to him if you don't have these options and you're out somebody. Like, Sanders might legitimately be a starting running back this week, so that's why he should be picked up and you should be considering him, but not before, especially not before Jordan.
Yeah, I actually prefer Sampson. If Sampson's back, I prefer he will rank higher than Sanders would without Sampson, because
yes, exactly,
bigger pass catcher and win a game where I expect a little bit more of that. All right, so So there's only 3 questions. So now you get the fun one sandwiched. Normally I do 2 fun, 2 fun.
Okay.
We're going to go 1, 1, 1, 1. So this one's really simple. It is Christmas week, so my fun with rankings is Christmas. And it's gotten so big. I did this for everybody. Shout out to one of my editors, Jess Bryant, by the way. We have tables now, so they're collapsed, and I have to scroll through 5 pages of text because I have Christmas movies, Christmas TV specials, Christmas songs, Christmas desserts, and also worst Christmas songs. So I will give you any of those 5 to choose from. You want to throw out 1 or 2 of your favorites, or even if you want to throw out your most hated song. But as you can see, it's 4 positive and 1 negative. We have to stay mostly positive for Christmas.
Okay, so you had. I don't think I have a TV special. Are there Christmas TV? What TV specials exist?
Oh,
I didn't even think of one. I didn't even think of one. I mean, not one.
There's legitimately so. I mean, you need to go watch this one. The reboot of DuckTales Christmas special, where actually...
you're talking about like a singular show that was a Christmas special.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
the Futurama Christmas special, the Seinfeld Festivus, the Office Christmas Party, like those.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely don't have that. I mean, I think I got a couple takes on the movies.
Okay.
National Lampoon's is the GOAT. That's the penultimum. I like, and this might be a weird one. I like Nightmare Before Christmas, and you can argue what side of a movie that is. That's a huge one in our family. Yeah, it's a huge one for our family. We watch it multiple times a year. We usually watch it around Halloween, and we watch it around Christmas. So Nightmare Before Christmas, I think, is just an instant classic. But like Chevy Chase, man, like that's the Christmas movie. That's the ultimate Christmas movie. As far as the songs go, I gotta be honest, I don't think I like a lot of the Christmas songs. You know what? This is the worst thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, are you more of a upbeaty type person like I am, or are you more of the classical Christmas music? You were about to say you don't even love Christmas music, weren't you?
I'm a don't push Mariah Carey Christmas on me. That's
okay.
I think
if it makes you feel better, the only song she has in my top 10 is "All I Want for Christmas." But I mean, you can't. That's kind of undeniable.
Yeah, I'm like just anything but that. I'm pretty good with. I'm pretty indifferent about that. But yeah, was there another category? Because I don't have a show. Don't give me Mariah Carey Christmas songs.
Worst Christmas song, you could put Mariah Carey there.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Like worst Christmas song would be like any
favorite
Mariah
Christmas
Carey
dessert.
One. Is there like a? I mean, I say cookie. Like we do the like making our own cookies and doing the frosting and stuff like that. Like that's like a one of one thing. But is there like a more traditional like cookie? Like what are Christmas desserts to you?
So like the snowball cookies, which
The
are
what?
pretty good. They're snowball. Like they legitimately. So it's kind of like this.
So like the powder,
It's
powdered sugar.
Well, yeah. So it's a cookie texture, but it has like walnuts or pecans chopped up in them, and then with like this like the powdered sugar to make them look like snowballs. They're shaped into snowballs. So like,
Okay,
here, I'll give you one.
Yeah, give me
Everybody
more.
needs
Give me
to go
more.
look it up.
I'm gonna smash or pass on these.
No, not even like you're gonna smash. You're gonna just ruin all of them. No, I was just gonna
yeah.
give you my 101 so you can go try this if you haven't.
Okay.
They're called eggnog meltaways.
Oh.
Look it up after this. They are.
Eggnog meltaways.
Yes, they are super delicious. 100% super delicious. But so like cream cheese cookies, the cinnamon roll apple pie is a big one for people, which I always love. The jelly thumbprints, people put, you know what I'm talking about? They put the little, it's like a sugar cookie and it's depressed in the middle and it's just got the jelly in the middle.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, that's funny. That's the one I was thinking of. I don't know what the hell you call them, but that was like the one when you said like a Christmas cookie, I was thinking about like that specific.
Okay.
You know, I had an old boss. This is probably, I mean, you know, I hate them now, but nothing in fantasy. But they would make these cupcakes, or it was a cheesecake in a cupcake form, and they put a Reese's peanut butter cup inside of the cheesecake.
Cheesecake?
That was like the greatest Christmas thing, and they made it every single year, and it's probably why I'm weigh what I weigh now. It's like the greatest thing on the planet. A cheesecake in form of a cupcake with a peanut butter cup inside of it.
Wow. That's
Drop the mic.
Those are that I might have to definitely try those. And we just make it like red or green to call it Christmas.
Yeah, sure.
So,
yeah, but I'm a big cookie guy. Like, give me like, as long as it's a soft type of cookie with frost, like any type of cookie. That's
yes.
Christmas
I'm more
to
of
me.
a soft sugar cookie than those crispy ones that like. Break
Yeah, I don't want
apart
crispy
like
ones
that.
either. I completely agree with you.
All right, we're heading back to fantasy football. I promise.
Okay.
We're there right now. And so this question's a little bit different for you. And it's because it's week 17. So I basically pulled 5 wide receivers that had big week 16s, but more so this isn't a waiver show. We're talking ranks to a degree. Is legitimately, you're in the championship game. How far would you go? Like, would you play any of these? So here are the 5. And you can give me we'll say top 2. Your big one, and then your
already
number
got
2. Good, perfect. First one, Quentin Johnston. Comes back from injury, even questionable heading into the game. And Quentin Johnston is Quentin Johnston. Alec Pierce does nothing in Phillip Rivers' first start, and then gets, of course? 2 touchdowns. The reason I started with those 2, by the way, I told you before the show for everybody out there, the bosses of all bosses at the New York Times asked me who to start in week 16, and they gave me 3 options: Quentin Johnston, Alec Pierce, and Kayshon Boutte. I'll give everybody one guess and one guess only which one I went with. It was not the first 2. Moving on, Parker Washington goes off from the Broncos. Chimere DK continues to show up more weeks than not. And then Troy Franklin with no Pat Bryant, which kind of clears things up for him. But of course, prayers up for Pat Bryant. Holy crap! I didn't think that was going to send him to the hospital, but thankfully he's doing okay. But those are your 5 that would you actually consider putting them in your lineup? And I want to say actually consider as in flex play. No, wide receiver 3s at least. You have to put them in as your wide receiver 3.
Okay, I mean, that changes things up a little bit. I have one of these guys, and he is actually ranked. I might have actually moved him before we started. He was 36, and I think he might be 35 right now. It's only one. It's Alec Pierce. We're back with Alec Pierce. Now, the Phillip Rivers stuff, I was very loud that Phillip Rivers was the death of Alec Pierce because we didn't think he was ever going to start throwing the ball downfield again. And that was really clear in the first game. Now, so the 49ers game, I'm a 49ers fan, so locked into this game. What did they do coming out the gates? Throw the ball. They were like the Chargers at the beginning of the year. We're like, oh, Chargers are the #1 run team, blah, blah, blah. Chargers end up being like, nope, we are now a big pass team the entire season. That's what the Colts did. And I think a lot of that comes from a comfortability in Phillip Rivers understanding the offense and being able to get his reads, offensive line to be able to hold up. But the question was like, was that ever going to happen? And it did happen. Right. It happened against a 49ers defense that it stinks. It's not a great defense. Specifically in the secondary is really, really bad. And what did Phillip Rivers end up doing? Josh Downs town. It is all Josh Downs. Mr. Checkdown. He's going to get him there. But what happened in the red zone? All Alec Pierce. And you did see Phillip Rivers stretch the ball out on one of those earlier ones to Alec Pierce down the middle. And that was like what he was doing before. So what I'm getting at is like, I'm optimistic that they are more comfortable passing the ball with Phillip Rivers. Alec Pierce is clearly a play option that Phillip Rivers trusts that he can just throw the ball up. If they're in the red zone, Alec Pierce is someone that Phillip Rivers literally just showed us that he is comfortable getting the ball up to. I'm going to put him back in that range. I think there's risk because it's Phillip Rivers, but I don't mind the matchups. This is a big divisional tough matchup that's out there. I think the Jags are going to win again.
Stopping the Jaguars right now.
Yeah, and I love the Jags. But listen, I think Phillip Rivers is better than what we thought was, like being put together. And Alec Pierce is kind of re-alive again. And the touchdown equity, I think, is up there. I'm going to put Pierce in that because I also think the Colts are going to be playing from behind and they're going to have to pass the ball again. So I think that works well for him. He's the only one I have of that group in the top 36.
So basically, he's not who we thought he was, is what you're telling us.
Yeah, exactly. Denny Green. Denny Green. The other guy,
Denny Green.
I think you could say Troy Franklin, based on, just like target equity and Pat Bryant being out. I think it's a tougher matchup. I think you could also argue that the Chiefs, we just might be done. And they might not have the ball a whole bunch, without any quarterback whatsoever. There might be a lot of offensive pieces to it. Would I start him as a wide receiver 3? No. But the guy that immediately came to mind, I'm also going to tell you, I'm not going to start. The only one I'm starting as a wide receiver 3 is Alec Pierce, but in flex was Chimere DK. I think he is interesting. He has finished in half PPR in the top 25 3 of the last 5 weeks. We're seeing some target shares. He's had 5 targets or more in 3 straight games. We've seen him catch 4 more balls in 3 of the last 5 games. He has touchdowns in 3 of the last 5 games, and he's going up against a New Orleans Saints defense that's not great. And he has clearly been one of the major targets. I'm not going to be surprised if he gets 7 or 8 targets in this game. He can play some of those big, deep ball I don't know my level of confidence, but I think guys like Franklin and DK, those are the top two after Alec Pierce in a world where it's like, oh, things don't look really super great. I need to play up. I don't mind Chimere DK. So really my true answers are Alec Pierce and Chimere DK.
All right. I mean, we got there, so I do appreciate it. So the big thing is obviously avoiding Parker Washington, because we've done this before, and this is what I keep saying. This is like really about the matchup facing the Broncos, and that's their area of vulnerability. And what do? He spent twice the amount of time that Jacoby Myers did in the slot. So like, I would expect a big bounce back. You talk about the Colts situation. If they can continue to pass and force that defense, as I'm trying to get the dogs to go away because they decided that now is the time they want to play. Right next to my desk, if you can't see it, like 18 other spots to play in this giant-ass living room, and they have to come right next to the desk. Anyway, just that I expect not only the rebound for the offense with on the outside with Brian Thomas, but also Jacoby Myers as well. I don't think that I wouldn't expect 2 weeks in a row of Parker Washington. All right, second fun question. And it's not really a fun question because it's a pick your poison. And we've done this before. I say it every episode is you don't get to do the Michael Florio where you get to try and tweak the answer and say, well, if I did this, then it wouldn't be as... No, this is your three choices. You don't get to change it. So this is all you get. First one's always a fantasy-related one. The other two are not. So here's your choices, Chris Welsh. First one, for the rest of your life, you always make the fantasy football playoffs. However, once you do, your opponent sets your lineup for you. They can't add and drop. They just set your lineup for you from your roster players. So your opponent is always setting your playoff lineup the rest of your life. But you always make the playoffs. Number two, because it's that time of year. Every time you see a donation person, you give them money, but you have to tell them immediately you're only trying to make change. Number three, every time you leave the house during this time of year, you always have wet, cold socks inside your shoes. Those are your three choices.
I just have to pick. Who in God's name is going to pick the socks? What are you talking about? That's the crazy. That's not even remotely in the discussion. I live in a warm climate. That can't be something where you live. You know, like you're going to walk out, you're going to freeze, you're going to die. You're going to get frostbite. I'm not going to have that happen. I'm not living on that comfortable level. That one's not even remotely close to me. Okay. I would, man, I get embarrassment so hard. Like I also get into spaces where like I'm just not afraid to say what I need to say. But like the idea of the donation people having to go up and have money and hand it and be like, I'm trying to get change, I would die inside. So I will pick making the playoffs and having my opponent pick my roster, and knowing that I would probably have to side on depth in my roster construction more than ever before. You know, where it's like studs and scrubs? I would probably move away from studs and scrubs, and I would alter my strategy so when they have to pick the playoff options, I'm not making it easy. I'm not going to ask for change from donation people. I'm not walking out with wet, nasty socks. Yuck.
The reason the first one really made me think about that is because the number of people this week that were like, I legitimately had somebody message me and said that like I should have started Trevor Lawrence over was it Trevor Lawrence? Yeah. No, Matthew Stafford over Josh Allen. I'm like, but you can't fault yourself for that. Like that's you're never benching Josh Allen. Like that's just what happens. This is fantasy. I mean, you could go run through it. I made a joke tweet earlier today is that we should have obviously started Phillip Rivers over Jacoby Brissett and started freaking any of the Alec Pierce over CeeDee Lamb. Like, and so that's what made me
Quinn
think
Ewers
of that
over Lamar
question.
Jackson. Sure, exactly. Let me ask you.
There you go.
I am thinking about benching Josh Allen for Trevor Lawrence this week.
And I don't know if I can fault you for that. I would not do it. I would not.
You're literally repeating what Pat said. It's almost what Pat and Erickson said. They're like, I wouldn't do it, but I don't fault you for it. Josh Allen against the Eagles, Trevor Lawrence just had 4 touchdowns going up against a Colts defense to give up 5 touchdowns in a divisional match. I mean, listen.
Well, this is how I flip it back to everybody, and that the people that even ask in the comments, and the people who text me. I had a friend that even said, "Would you really?" I'm like, "Really? I have to deal with people doing this in the comments, and my friend does it to me. Would I really start?" But this is the same thing. It's the Justin Jefferson this week because he's got Max Brosmer again. If you make these lineup decisions and you're saying this is honestly what I think is best, and then Josh Allen, Justin Jefferson, whatever, goes off for 25 points on your bench, are you going to hate yourself on Monday? Are you going to be like, I'm an idiot, I can't believe I did this. This is why I got too cute or whatever. Or you can be like, you know what? The process was still there. I'm cool with it. Like, then you know your answer.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't like. I know what you're saying in that, and I think it is important. You have to be able to like live with yourself. And I get those questions all the time, and people are like, it'll just be on a based matchup situation, like, you know, but da da da. And it's like, if you can stomach it, a lot of these things I can't stomach. I'm at a point where I think I can stomach benching Josh Allen in a situation like that for Trevor Lawrence specifically. Trevor Lawrence is ranked 6 on Fantasy Pros ECR right now. I think he's a top 5 quarterback this week. But I get it. Like I might bench Justin Jefferson. I have 3 championship opportunities. I have Jefferson in one of them. I can sleep at night with Jefferson based on how he's been performing, especially with Brosmer. But like what you stated is correct. Like most of the time, these questions are in a way where it's like, listen, I'm going down with the ship. It's just a guy like Jefferson with that bad of quarterback play and how inconsistent he's been. I think that has a little bit more justification. But listen, like I don't want to start Ashton Genty last week, and I'm a stupid idiot after that. So.
I mean, this is exactly what's going to happen. I talked about it on the Pat Mayo show, is that nobody started Ashton Genty, and if you somehow advance, you get to face the Giants now, and everybody's going to start Ashton Genty, and he's going to get 40 yards.
Dude, I just said that. I said that on our show. I'm like, it's the greatest matchup of all time. Now he's going to fail after I'm telling every human being to bench him against Houston with no usage. I couldn't agree with you more. We're being set up for that. I agree.
So I'm so glad that you also said that about the whole Josh Allen thing, because this next question, the final question before we get out of here, and I didn't initially have Justin Jefferson in it, but now Justin Jefferson is in it because he has Max Brosmer at quarterback, it's the same argument I made for Justin Jefferson back in week 9. Strip the name off the jersey, you're not starting him. He's probably on waivers, let's be honest. So that's my question. It's the opposite of the question I just asked you. Is now, as bad as these players have been, what's the 1 or 2 most likely that you are sending to your bench and say, you know what, I don't care what your name is. I don't care if you're Jake Ciely, the greatest ranker of all time. I'm just kidding. Just this is what it comes down to. Breece Hall, who's honestly been miserable for a long time, and a lot of it has to do with the quarterback. He's not getting Tyrod Taylor back. He's Brady Cook all over again. Rico Dowdle has not only been not Rico Dowdle since that run, but now over the past couple of weeks, it's also who the hell knows what his workload is going to be. Emeka Egbuka, who I admittedly got wrong last week because I said Egbuka with Mike Evans back looked really good. Well, that's cool because the Buccaneers came back this past week and said, we don't even care that he looked good. He's now 3rd. He was multiple, almost double-digit routes behind Chris Godwin. He has dropped way back.
He got out-snapped by Jalen McMillan.
Thank you. And to go one step further, this one's wide open. Anybody on the Chiefs. And then Justin Jefferson. Like, who of these, and I say anybody because that includes Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, who had a decent game, and Travis Kelce. Like, which one, and Justin Jefferson, which of these are you looking at? You're saying, you know what, I'm most likely to say, forget it, I'm done. I'm not going into my championship game starting these 1 or 2 after what's been going on.
Okay. The unfortunate answer is most of them. I hate to say that. Emeka, listen, could he ball out against the Dolphins? He can, but you just laid it out. Evans is back. Godwin is back. He's getting out-snapped by McMillan. They got the 2 running backs. I don't trust Emeka. He is ranked outside the top 36 wide receivers on our consensus ranks on Fantasy Pros. I agree with it. I don't think he is startable at this point.
Right now. I put Egbuka at... I apparently hate the guy. I'm in the 40s. I'm at 48.
I have him at 41. So I agree
Why
with
do
you.
you love him?
Yeah, I know. Why do I love him so much? Why does Fantasy Pros love him? Not me. I agree with that. I think Rico is really tough to rank. It's not a good matchup out there. The Chiefs guys, I actually could be facing the Rashee Rice one. I'm going up against Bogman in our home league championship. I lost Devontae Adams and Rashee Rice last week. I was able to, because I drafted heavy wide receiver, I was able to make it through. I think if Rashee Rice is active with their quarterback situation, I have the option between Stephon Diggs, Wandale, and Rashee Rice, and I can start 2. I don't know if Rashee Rice is one of those 2. So now, to be fair, if I had to say, like, he's probably one, I wouldn't adamantly say like Emeka. So let's take him off of it, though I think you can. Let's take Pacheco off of it because Pacheco, I would start those guys, and I probably could even stomach Kelce. I don't think those fall along those lines. Emeka does, Rico does, and if anybody does follow the stuff I've been doing, you would have, me and Bogman got in a blowout fight on our show with Joe Pisapia we do on Fantasy Pros called Out of Bounds, where Bogman just kept being like, well, it's Justin Jefferson, and this is the week, and it's a great matchup. It was never this past week. It finally did happen, but every week it's like, oh, look at this matchup that he's got. He's got to break out, and it never happened. And no one can get him the ball. So I'm anti Jefferson at this point. And Brosmer is, I guess, arguably one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. Like, he is so bad. And I don't trust he's going to be able to get the ball in any effectiveness to Justin Jefferson. So, yeah, I think I can sleep at night sitting Justin Jefferson knowing I'm doing it in favor of, like, even a Stephon Diggs. Could I do it in favor of, like, an Alec Pierce like we talked about or something like that? No, I'm still going to start Jefferson. But I got Jefferson at 26 right now. He's around Ladd, who's got a bad matchup. Brian Thomas probably has more upside. Like, that's the range. So Emeka, Jefferson, and Rico, I think, are all guys that you can and I would. And I will physically be sitting Justin Jefferson in a league, so you can do it.
So this is how far I go with it. Again, why do you love him? The down by Ladd, I'm looking at my rankings right now, which will be, again, out at midnight, depending on when you're listening to this. They might already be out. But even Marvin Harrison Jr. coming off that game, which he wasn't out there for the full amount of routes, and could have had a touchdown if it just didn't bounce off. By the way, Jacoby Brissett was 2 terrible drops by Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison from having 3 touchdowns and being Jacoby Brissett all over again, for as frustrated we are about that. I'm not talking about the one. I'm talking about the one that McBride arguably could have caught, not the one that hit the dirt by Brissett that he bounced in there. But anyway, so I have Marvin Harrison at 29, and then I have Terry with Josh Johnston at 30 and Justin Jefferson with Max Brosmer at 31. Like, that's how far I'm going with it, because Max Brosmer and Josh Johnson are not quarterbacks I want to trust for their wide receivers.
No. Yeah, Terry McLaurin was a big one we were talking about. That's that whole,
Would you go Terry or Justin? Like, I lean just because Josh Johnson's terrible, but he's not Brosmer terrible.
Gosh. So Jefferson or McLaurin?
Yeah, but see, McLaurin gets Dallas. We've seen
great.
Josh Johnson be able to play quarterback.
Matchup. Yeah, and I agree. Yeah. Oh, man, dude. I think I might go Jefferson in that.
Really?
Like, well, because and Erickson loves this. Andrew Erickson loves this stuff. But he sent this to me. He's been super anti Deebo Samuel. But then he sent this to me. He went, oh, well, he said something else. But he was like, oh no. Deebo has got a $1.1 million contract incentive for 12 more catches, and he's got $450,000. He needs 2 more, and then so then 10 would get him $1.1 million. You got a bad quarterback in there that's not going to throw the ball deep. You don't think it's going to be check down city to Deebo Samuel? I don't know what that does well for Terry McLaurin. That's just goofy stuff to play into narratives. I love the matchup for Terry McLaurin. I just don't trust Josh Johnson. I guess I don't trust Brosmer either. So if I had to pick talent, I'd take Jefferson, but matchup is McLaurin. I think those guys are both next to each other. Just pray to God you have Brian Thomas. You never would have thought that. Pray you have Brian Thomas. You could start over both those guys. But I guess I would lean Jefferson in that. Are you McLaurin or Jefferson?
I have McLaurin one spot in front of him. Oh, and then the thing is like, if we get word that Jordan Love is officially starting, I would start Christian Watson over both of them.
Yeah, I was just staring at him. I agree.
The dicey thing is we might not know that by Thursday. So I would, as of today, I'm going to have both of them in front of Jordan Love, but that could easily flip with that situation. But you know what can't flip? You know what that is?
What?
How great Chris Welsh is. So make sure you are following him. Make sure you follow him over at Fantasy Pros. Football, baseball, fun, even though he hates Mariah Carey. But I think a lot of people listening would agree with you. Surprise.
Thank you. I like fun. And you know what? I've said this from time to time. I always want to give Jake his flowers. He's a dear friend of mine. We don't talk every single day, but I love this guy, not just from sharing gelato, but I think I've told this in a couple times before, but I went through a period where I had a career in radio, and I lost that career, and I was transitioning into I've been doing fantasy for a long time and everything like that. Jake single-handedly had essentially got me a gig. I mean, you got me the gig at The Athletic, and I got to host the football show with you for a couple years, and then it ended up turning into me being on Rates and Barrels if you're baseball people, and it's that was definitely one of the things between Fantasy Pros kind of keeping me afloat before I was full-time, and that was those were huge, and that was thanks to you. You were the one that stepped up and suggested, and I talked to all the Athletic people, so I'm always just thankful for that. Jake's tough demeanor sometimes is not showing the soft, big heart shell. Underneath the shell is this wonderful person that does deeply care for the people that he's close to, and I always appreciate you for that, buddy.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I might bleep it out so people don't know that I'm really nice underneath this. Like, the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes.
You're
today.
a mean one, Mr. Jake.
Thank you for that. So please give Chris a follow, especially if you're paying attention to baseball, which a lot of you might be checked out and paying attention to it like I am as I watch the Mets continue to do who the hell knows this offseason.
Literally, who the hell knows what they're doing? Maybe they'll get Cattell. We'll see. Yeah, you can follow me at Is It The Welsh on Twitter. I got some Instagram going on if you guys want to check it out. Love to talk with you all and love you, Jake.
Once again, Chris Welsh. You heard how amazing he is, so give him a follow, give him a listen, read his work, do all that good stuff. Can't recommend him enough. He knows what the hell he's talking about, especially, like I said, with baseball. I give it up to him at this point in my career, except for the projections part. Projection part's still mine. Everything else, it's up to him. So we'll be back on Friday for all the news, notes with injuries, obviously some takeaways. Thursday, 3 games, big Christmas day. Not a lot of great games, though. But then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, a lot of football this week and a lot of fun and hopefully a lot of championship titles you are taking home. I don't know why I made it like that.